You know, a question that we get a lot and dealing with buyers and sellers of land, going on a place, they say, well, what about this? What about that? My biggest suggestion to anyone when they buy a piece of land is don't do anything drastic the first year. You know, hunt there for a whole season, deer, turkey, and just kind of learn the place and kind of learn the habits of the deer and what you're doing, because you don't want to go do a timber cut or do a bunch of timber stand improvement practices and just to be doing it. I know everybody's excited just like I was, and I've made some mistakes doing that, but this is a food plot that I built here, and I noticed the deer just were not, it's kind of in the middle of the place. It's a lot of big open woods. Turkeys love it here. But for deer, I felt like I needed to create some habitat where, you know, not a bunch of deer would bed, but maybe hold a deer or two, or during the rut, a buck with a doe, that kind of thing. So, but I figured out where they like to come from, which would be more this north and northwest side of this plot. And let me show you what I did after living this and not really getting a lot of deer here in the daylight. And this was my attempt. It's only 1 year old. Didn't really do much this year with the acorns, but I think over time when it gets thicker, like the spots we saw earlier, like this, that it's gonna be good. Come here, I'll show you. You know, right here is we're about 200 yards from the plot, and you can kind of see that daylight on that ridge up there. That plot's on top of a ridge, and I think that's important too. Is always try to stay on top of a ridge. I do for wind. If you get down in these bottoms, it swirls. It just drives you crazy. So I try to do all my food plots on ridges where I can. Now, you can see we came in here, me and my son-in-law Sam, and I got a little more aggressive in here because this is only 1 year old. And some of these big beech trees, they just had these big crowns, and we were only cut them down. And you can see this one here. A lot of them, it's wintertime, so a lot of them are dead. I killed a lot of them. You can see where I took a chainsaw, you know, and I girdled it right there, and then I sprayed it with chemical. So a lot of these are all up through here, and these will die naturally, but I just wanted to get the sun to the ground to try to get deer living right here and maybe get into that food plot, you know, an hour or 30 minutes before dark, just because they were having to come from about another 250, 300 yards further in there. Time they get up and they feed and all that, I just trying to get them a little closer here, and I can come in and out without spooking this. It's completely secluded, and just after 1 year. And what I'll do when I start getting some gum and stuff coming back in here, I'll just run a fire through that probably every 2 or 3 years, probably every 2 years, and kind of keep it set back and hope to keep this a bedding type place for years to come. Even make it bigger probably.